Hi art students! Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a cityscape drawing like this one using a technique called one-point perspective. You're going to see me switch back and forth between a regular pencil and a white pencil, so please pay attention to which steps are done with which tool. And then your next job after that is going to be to create 4 rectangles that'll be the fronts of your buildings. And I'm going to have you create 2 on the left side and 2 on the right and leave some space in the middle. Okay, so once you have your 4 rectangles set up, we're going to have a street that runs between these buildings, and we're going to make it look like that street is kind of just going on and on and on, getting really far away from us, and that's where the perspective comes in. We are going to make what's called a vanishing point. I usually say go to your shortest building and maybe go about halfway down, and then look at this space and go about halfway in between, and that's going to be my vanishing point. And from there, I want to create a street that looks like it gets further away from us. So you will use your ruler, and you can go ahead and use the white pencil for the sides of the street. When you look over, you're going to see the left side of this building, but the right side of that building. So we're going to draw those now using a ruler, using that vanishing point to get those lines lined up correctly. So I'm back to my regular pencil because I'm making guidelines that I won't be keeping all of them. So starting on the right side, go to your top corner of the building and go to your vanishing point, line up those 2 areas, and draw with your regular pencil a guideline all the way there. Okay. Now use the bottom corner and the vanishing point and make a guideline there. So now it looks like your building goes on and on and on for about 110 blocks. You do not want to keep it that long. So here's where some more guesstimates come in. What we're going to do, here's the front, here's the side. We need to create where the back of that building is going to be, the back of that side. And in order for it to look like a rectangular prism, we want that back line to be vertical, just like this line is vertical. They're going to be parallel to each other and parallel to the edges of your paper. So here's where you need to look, and I've got this camera set up looking straight down. If I were to put it like this, yes, it's straight, it's my ruler, but it's not parallel to that line. So you've really got to take your time and look at it. Make sure it's parallel. You decide how far back you want it to go. I kind of like that amount of space. I'm going to go ahead and use my white pencil. I'm feeling pretty confident. If you're not sure if that's where you want it, use your regular pencil first. It's easier to erase that. Okay. So here's the side. Now here's the top of that and the bottom. Do not outline those without your ruler. You really want them crisp, nice straight lines, but your ending when you get here, you're not going to go all the way to that vanishing point. Your roof ends at the back of the building, and your floor ends at the back of that building. So that's that side right there. So now we're going to do the same thing, but on this side of the street. Okay, so I've got some of those lines out of my way now, and I want you to look at the buildings on both sides and figure out, are there any other sides of buildings that I would be able to see? Remember, I'm crossing the street and looking. So I saw this one and this one. Looking over here, that one is shorter, so that entire right side of that building is hidden by this one. But this one is taller, so I will see a portion of that one right there. So it's the same rule. You don't just try to guess and draw a line. You always use a corner of your building and the vanishing point, and it's whatever corner is closer to the vanishing point. Now you'll notice that I'm going to bump into this building, so I'm not going to go any further than that. And remember, it's just a guideline, regular pencil, and it goes on, maybe not for 110 blocks, but looks like maybe at least 50 blocks, so still that's way too far back. So I'm just going to take my ruler and decide where I want that back wall to go in. My ruler is parallel to that edge, parallel to that edge. Draw that vertical line in, but stop when you hit the other building. And then outline just that little bit of roof. We're not going on the guideline. And again, if that extra line is bothering you, you can do that. All right, and then the next thing we are going to do is create some buildings behind there. Now, if you are in a place right now where if we're in the classroom doing this and you're waiting for more directions, what you could do, don't do this stuff yet, but you could add in, we're going to highlight the sides of those buildings, not the fronts, but the sides, just using the white pencil and really nice, smooth, and even application. So if at any point, if we're between directions and you're wanting to get more done on your drawing, you could work on that, or you could save that part for the very end. So I'll be saving that after I get other details in. So my other requirement when I do this in the classroom is that you have at least 6 buildings in here. So 2 on the left, 2 on the right we did so far. So we're going to do another one on each side that's behind these other buildings. We're not going to see the whole thing, but we're going to see quite a bit of it. So you have to use either a ruler, or if you have a rectangle template like I do, you're going to be just having it peek up in between. And here's some general instructions. Let's try, don't line it up with any of these lines that are already there. Okay, so don't make it the same height as that one. Don't make it in the same spot as that one. I'm going to put it kind of between those two. And then same thing here. I don't want to get confused with these lines, so I don't want to have it lined up with those, but maybe I'll just pop it up right there. I wouldn't go off the paper, but you want it to be taller, obviously. And you can use the white pencil for this. Have these 3-dimensional buildings, then we have these flat rectangles standing up behind them. And hopefully you've already figured out we need to connect the inside corner here to the vanishing point and the inside corner here to the vanishing point. So we'll do that now with a regular pencil. In the classroom, that might be as far as we get in one class period. If you're following along with me just in the video, you can just keep right on going. The other requirements that I have is that you have some kind of details on the fronts of all of your buildings, whatever part of the front is showing. So only a little bit of that building shows, but there's a clock there, there's some windows. We're not going to do any details on these sides, because that's a whole other part of the perspective lesson that we're not going to get to in this lesson. And I do encourage you to use your ruler to make those details. So I will show you, this is probably the easiest one to do. It's kind of like that Bank of America building in downtown Mesa, or maybe it's called something else now. But just lots and lots of panes of glass that are on that steel structure. And then if you have anything you can trace to make circles, I think I may have traced a glue stick to make the Starbucks circle there and to make the clock there. The flagpole is a ruler line, so that's a steady, steady base for that. But the flag is moving in the wind, so it can have some curves to it and things. What I usually have as a requirement in the classroom, if you're going to have a sign that has words on it, you are only allowed to have one of those in your city. So really think about what type of business or store or company you want to have on there. A clock would be okay, but one clock, not a clock on every building. Something like a flag would be okay, but not a flag next to every building. This is the easiest way to put something like that up, where you're having it based on the ground. But I have had some students who put things out from the sides of the building too. So that the detail part can be, a little more creative on your part, but I would emphasize, do it carefully and neatly. We're going to put in the details back here next, because we want this vanishing point not to just be this weird floating spot where the street ends. It's actually the place where the ground and the sky meet. So that's called the horizon line. So at the vanishing point, I want you to make a relatively straight, not with a ruler, but this is just the ground, and you're going to stop when you touch your buildings. Okay, so it's behind everything else. It's way in the background. And since we are in a valley between mountains, we're going to add in some of those mountains. And mountains do not look like letter M's. They're going to have a lot more bumps and ridges. So I've got kind of two mountains that overlap each other. If you'd like to add in some implied texture, make it look kind of lumpy and bumpy, you can do that. And we are going to have this be, either sunrise or sunset. If you want the sun to be peeking up, you can do it that way. Mine is not quite all the way sunset yet, so it's floating above. But we're not going to do a big giant sun that's bigger than the whole city here. We want to just make that small circle or partial circle back here. And our sun is not going to have a happy face on it or any little lines coming out from it. It's just going to be a light source and a point of interest back here where the vanishing point is. And that kind of helps with the idea of light hitting the sides of these buildings. So they're going to be highlighted. We're not going to see the details, so that light will be so bright. Okay. I am going to do the lines I talked about for this one. So my first thing that I'm going to do is find where I think the halfway point is between the left side and right side. And again, you can measure if you want to. This is just about 2 inches, so the 1 inch mark would be halfway. And if I mark that at the top and the bottom, I should be able to get that line pretty straight and even all the way down, parallel to the edges. And then if I simply want to divide this up, I could measure out, and I recommend doing that if you're going to do a lot of this type of windows, but I'll show you a really quick shortcut you can also do. I'm going to turn this sideways. You can use the width of your ruler. So if I put one edge on the top of the building and then trace the next edge, my next window will be the same size if I do that same thing again. Okay, so I'll wrap this up here by just showing you one of my finished samples. I can't wait to see what you come up with.